Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another 10 pens Coney ink this week. I think let's go through these briefly one by one. We'll go through them in a little bit more detail and then we'll do a writing sample. So from left to right, we have the Majohn, and this is the P138 piston. We have the Classic Pen CP5, and this is in the vintage. We have a Classic Pen CP5 in the modern. We have a Conway Stewart, and this is the King Charles III Coronation pen in sterling silver. We have the Platinum Jubilee from Onoto, and this is the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, which is an overlay. We have the Onoto King's Coronation, and this is in sterling silver. And we have a Onoto, and this is the Platinum Jubilee in sterling silver. We have an Onoto, and this is the Great Roof, and this is the metallic edition. We have a Onoto, and this is the Christmas Carol, and this was the Cult Pens exclusive. And then we have another Onoto, and this is the Christmas Carol 2022 edition, and that is a prototype. So I think let's take a look at these pens inked up in a little bit more detail. So this is a very nice pen. These retail for around about, I think about $50, $60. Might be a little bit more. But these are actually quite interesting. So this is a Majohn P138 piston filling pen. And it's got a nice weight to it, I have to say. It really is quite nice. You can screw the cap onto the rear, and a number of people that I've shown say, oh, but that doesn't line up. It does, you just have to tighten it a little bit there, crank it up, but it will tighten. And this is actually quite a nice weight of pen. I am really liking this. When the nib arrived, the pen arrived, I didn't like how the nib wrote. I did have to smooth it out. I did have to spread the tines. I typically find that with most Chinese pens. But this now writes absolutely spectacularly. I think it actually really shows how well I have learned to tune nibs over the last 6 to 8 years. I do find this a little bit short in my hand, like so. So I am a little bit more sort of towards posting this pen. I don't normally post caps, as many of you will know, but I do find I typically post that. The section is a little bit short as well. It does have a steel nib here, but it now writes very, very well. So I have this one inked up this week, and I really do like the design. The design actually is very close to a Mont Blanc, actually, and so again, it's another one of these almost like Chinese copy type things where they have copied another design. The pattern looks slightly different, but it looks very similar in terms of a pen to a Mont Blanc. The next pen I have inked up is this one, and this is the Classic Pens CP5. It's the vintage version, made by Parker. It is a duofold. It is sterling silver. You've got the Parker feather clip there as well, or the arrow clip, as some will call it. And it has a number 6 size nib there. I got it in a medium nib. You can see there, it should say medium, I think. But it's a very nice weighty pen. It is a cartridge converter pen, so if I unscrew that, you can see the cartridge converter there, and it doesn't bother me. This is not a cheap pen. Actually, a lot of these pens in this pen tray are not cheap, but it doesn't bother me that they are probably expensive pens with a cartridge converter. Can you post the cap? You can. It's not going to post deeply, but it will post. It's a really nice pen. I had seen these for some time, and I managed to pick one up from John at St John's Pens at the March Pen Show this year. Really liking that I did. I was also able at the same time to pick up this one, and this is another classic pen, CP5. This is in the modern version here, so you can see that the pattern is actually quite different to the vintage. Again, it's got the Parker arrow clip there, duofold as well. Now these designs, the engraving here on these pens are from Morelli, and they did have to bring out of retirement some of their machines to engrave this. Again, it is a cartridge converter. It's a number 6 size nib, and it is a medium there as well. This again, it's a nice weighter pen for me. Yes, it's a cartridge converter. You can just about post the cap on this one. They are very back weighted, so being sterling silver, it's actually, I don't know if I'm going to show this, but this is actually quite a thick layer of silver here, so it does make them quite weighty. So it's not something I normally would want to do in terms of posting that cap. Now I will post caps if they are shorter pens or if they're light pens, because I do like a longer pen and I do like a more weightier pen. The next pen here inked up is the Conway Stewart, and this is the King Charles III Coronation pen. You do have his face there engraved on the cap finial, and you do have a Conway Stewart clip there. Now, this is sterling silver, but it's not the same as these two. The reason being is that if I unscrew the cap, you're going to see it has a plastic section, and also it's really more of an overlay of silver. So the silver isn't maybe as thick, and it's got plastic on the inside, which makes for a lighter pen. Now, you'll see here this pattern is quite nice, this guilloche pattern there. I do like that a lot. It is also a cartridge converter, but I would say that this pen is probably about half the weight of those classic pen CP5s. Now, typically also, if a pen's lighter like that in terms of silver, it means there's not as much silver there on the pen, so the cost of the pen is also cheaper as well. So if you don't like heavy pens, but you do want sterling silver, then look at something like the Conway Stewart. Comes with a number 6 size nib. It's a Yovo nib there, and it's engraved Conway Stewart. But you can post the cap if you want to. It does make it a little bit too long. It doesn't post deeply and probably not securely, but I do like this. It's a really nice pen. So if you're looking for a lower priced sterling silver pen, then definitely check out the Conway Stewart. And I say lower price, it's not cheap. It's still around £600, but compared to maybe £1,500 for one of these, it's half the price easily, and you get similar quality to it. Maybe like the engraving isn't as deep as on the CP5s, but it's a very decent sterling silver pen. The next pen I have here is an Onoto, and this is a resin pen with an overlay on the cap. This is the Queen's Platinum Jubilee pen, and I was glad that I picked this one up. I do like this a lot. It really is a nice looking pen. It is a light pen as well because it is a resin body, so most of the weight is in this cap that you see there, and that cap is quite heavy. It's probably as weighty as that whole body and cap of the Conway Stewart. So again, this is a thick layer of silver, but the body is very, very light. Again, cartridge converter, comes with a number 7 size Onoto nib. The cap will post, but it doesn't really, it will just spin, so you can't really, you can post it, but it's going to move around and probably pop off. I would say. So it's not really designed to be posted on this one, but I do like it, and I like it a lot. So um, I'd actually bought this one first, and I still like the look of the contrast of the black, the silver, the gold here, and I decided I would have to then pick that one up. But the first two, or these two pens here, I picked up together. This is the Onoto Coronation pen for King Charles III. It really is a beautiful pen. I absolutely love the amount of detail that goes into that cap. Again, a huge amount of silver, sterling silver in this. And then look at the body here as well. You can see those window arches. You've also got portraits of other kings and that as well here. Beautiful pen. I really do like this. Sterling silver all the way. With a number 7 size, and I got a medium nib here from Onoto, 18 karat gold nib. It does come with a plunger filler. I have got a cartridge converter in there at the moment, purely because I'm liking the ease of cleaning out cartridge converter pens over plungers and power vacs. As much as I like a plunger or a power vac or a piston, they hold a lot of ink, anywhere from 1 milliliter or 1.2 milliliters in a lot of cases, all the way up to 2.5 or 3 milliliters of ink. And I, as much as I like that, I do find it's harder to get through the ink. So having a converter, I can normally, with one of these pens that has a very juicy medium nib, I can normally write 2 pages of A4, and then that will empty the converter. So that will probably be a page in 2 different letters. So, and I normally rotate my pens, 1 page in one pen and 1 page in another pen. And typically I will write 3 to 4 pages of A4 in a lot of letters. So I'll normally use 4 pens. So this way then, if I've written 2 letters, I can exhaust that ink easily and then switch to another pen, clean this one out, put it back into storage for maybe a week or 2 or longer. The next pen that I also picked up at the same time, so both of these sterling silver pens I picked up in June 22 from Onoto. I met up with Feng, and I picked this one up as well. This was the one I really wanted, the Coronation pen, because of the intricacies, the carving. It's a beautiful pen. But I also wanted this one. And this was to signify maybe a remembrance of our Queen that we've known for so long. And I just wanted the Platinum Jubilee for that reason. And I also liked the cap. Like I mentioned on this one, it's the same cap effectively. It's just this one is an overlay and this one is all sterling silver. But this really is, again, a beautiful pen. It has some sort of like little sort of almost like rivets and pinstripes going on here on the body with a number 7 size medium nib. Again, I did get it with a plunger. I've got a converter in there just for cleaning it out. It's more easy to clean a cartridge converter. Likewise, if a cartridge converter fails, they're normally Schmidt K5 converters. You just buy another one. So from that perspective, I have a lot of pens in my collection. I have a lot of pistons. I have a lot of power vacs and plunger fillers. I've had a few, and sac fillers as well, vintage sac fillers. I've had a few that have failed over the last 8 years, and I just get to the point where I feel that if they do fail, then you've got to send them away for repair. If a cartridge converter fails in one of these pens, I can just go and buy another one. So it's easy for me to repair it or fix it or get it back working. So from that perspective, I do like cartridge converters. That said, I still like my power vacs and my pistons, and because they will hold more ink. So I kind of gravitate between sort of cartridge converters and pistons and power vacs a lot. The next pen inked up is this one, and again, it's another Onoto. This is the Great Court Roof, and this is the metallic edition. Now, this one I did pick up secondhand from, I think it was Roy Izod's. Now, it's a custom pen, so it doesn't have the British Museum on the cap band here. And I'm okay with that. It would be nice to have had that on there. But I bought this secondhand. It's got a number 7 size Onoto nib there, and I'm just looking. Yeah, that's a medium as well. It is cartridge converter. Like the majority, I would say, of Onotos are cartridge converters. You can pay normally to upgrade them to a plunger. Not in all models, but this one is a cartridge converter. It posts really nice. I do like the size of these Onotos. The body is a little bit more on the lighter side of what I prefer, but I do like it. It's actually a nice writing experience. So I have that one inked up as well. I also have this one, and this one I bought for quite a good deal, actually. This was from Colt Pens. It's an Onoto Christmas cowl, and this was, I think, the 21 edition, but it was a special edition for Colt Pens. And it really didn't sell well. And I don't know why. Maybe people are just not into buying Christmas pens. I do not know. But for me, this is a really beautiful pen. I do like the scroll work on here. It's a Charles Dickens Christmas cowl. And I got it with a steel nib. Now, I could have got it with a gold nib, but it worked out that if I bought this with the steel nib in the sale at the time, I could still buy a gold nib and it would still be cheaper if I had actually bought the gold nib version. So I decided I'd buy the steel nib. I got it in a broad nib, and have to say, I really do like writing with this. I normally put shimmer ink in here. It is a cartridge converter. You can post the cap as well. Number 7 Onoto nib. And I think that cartridge converter, it might be, oh no, I thought it was getting a bit low actually, but might be that it's just that I've not written with it as much. And it does, the ink in there does have gold shimmer, so I probably just need to agitate that converter a little bit just to get that ink flowing. But that's another nice pen that I have inked up this week. And then the last pen inked up again is another Onoto. Strangely enough, I really am liking these Onotos. But it's a Christmas cowl, Charles Dickens. It's a 2022 prototype, and when I met up with Onoto, Feng at Onoto, I bought these two here, and I just happened. We had lunch, and I was talking to Feng, and I said, you know what? I really missed out on this pen. This was the 2022 edition. Only 22 of these made, plus 2 prototypes. And I said, I really missed out on this one. And he said, well, actually, if you're interested, I actually have a prototype left. So if you want it, you can have it. And I was like, yeah, just give me the prototype. So he didn't have it there with him at the time. So and we live quite far apart, other sides of the country. So I said to him, well, look, I'm happy to pick it up at the London Pen Show in October. And that's what I did. Beautiful, beautiful green. I really do like this pen. But you'll see here, it does say 00. Get that to focus. 00 of 22. The other person that has the other prototype, which I think is just 0 of 22, is John Soroka. And the reason why I know that is I was talking to John Soroka at one of the London Pen Shows, and I happened to mention that I picked this one up, and he went, that's a prototype. I've got the other one. So very interesting just how things like that come about. I did get a number 7 size Onoto medium 18 karat gold nib. Again, cartridge converter. It does post. I just like this pen a lot. It really is a stunning pen. Again, like the Onoto pens are not cheap. They're typically somewhere between, depending on the pen, and depending on the nib, between about 5 and 750. Although I've seen some of the Onotos coming in now towards 8 or 900. The sterling silvers, though, you're going to be looking probably 3, 4, 5 times that amount. But they are worth it. I honestly do think that they are worth it. So there you have it. That's my 10 pens currently inked this week. I think let's now go and do a writing sample. So the first pen inked up today is the Majohn P138. So we'll do an ink swatch to start with. And you can see that this is now quite a nice wet writing nib. So it is the Majohn P138 piston filler. It is a medium, but it wrote more like an extra fine before I tuned the nib. And it is a steel nib. It's a Chinese nib. It's not a Yovo. It's not a Bock nib. The ink in here is Diamine Earl Grey, which looks quite black, but it honestly is a nice grey ink. So I have that one inked up. The next pen inked up is the Classic Pen CP5 in the Vintage. So again, we'll do an ink swatch here. And it's actually nice to see I've not written with this actually for a while. So this didn't hard start or skip. So this is the Classic Pens CP5 and it is the Vintage, and it's a medium and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is KWZ Old Smoke, which is a UK London pen show exclusive ink. I do like it. It's a little bit on the drier side, and I think you can probably see that in that nib. I do kind of want to maybe floss that nib a little bit more, but I don't know. I might just put another grey ink in that pen and see how that goes. The next pen inked up is the Classic Pen CP5, and this is in the Modern. So we'll do an ink swatch here. Now, this one is a lot more wetter that you can see there. Now, I'm just going to check the ink because, yeah, I thought it was. It was between one of two inks. So this is the Classic Pens CP5 in the Modern, but you can see that this is a lot more wetter, and it's an 18 karat gold nib, medium nib, and then the ink in here is Diamine Earl Grey, and I did wonder if that might be actually I was just about to say I just think that was actually going to be Diamine Graphite. It's not Diamine Graphite. That's why. So I'm writing it as Diamine Earl Grey. Strange how your brain, when you're thinking about something, can change how you write something. So, yeah, I did think that might have been Diamine Graphite, because Diamine Graphite is almost a black ink, and it's darker than Diamine Earl Grey. So that's why I thought that might be graphite, but I checked my spreadsheet, and that's definitely Diamine Earl Grey. The next pen inked up is the Conway Stewart King Charles III Coronation pen. So we'll do an ink swatch here as well. And I don't know if you can hear that. Probably not. But it does sing a little bit, that nib, on Oxford Optic paper. So this is the Conway Stewart, and it's the Coronation. I'm not going to do the full because I'm not going to fit it otherwise. And it's a medium and it's an 18 karat gold nib, Yovo nib, and then the ink in here is also Diamine Earl Grey, and you can kind of see in different pens that this definitely is lighter than that one. This is more closer to that one. So each type of pen, depending on how wet the nib writes, and the width of the nib, can differentiate how an ink looks. The next pen inked up is the Onoto Platinum Jubilee Overlay. So we'll do an ink swatch here, and this is quite a nice nib. It's a little bit more of a crisper nib, I would say. And I do think that I might actually smooth that out into maybe a little bit more of a rounded stub. I'm not a great fan of crisp nibs. So this is the Onoto Platinum Jubilee overlay. And I can just feel when I do the horizontal strokes, like for the E, that it just feels more crisper. And some people like that and some people don't. And I'm normally in the not liking it. And I prefer more of a rounded edge to the nib. Which is just the way that I write. And but the ink in here today is Diamine. Now, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say it's Earl Grey. Yeah, it's not. It's actually kind of graphite. Great for those of you that actually said, no, that's definitely not Earl Grey. You can see that this definitely is a lot more darker. I'd almost say a black. And I'm not into black inks normally. I am into grey inks. It's a weird phenomenon because I just do not like writing with black inks. And the reason being is that most of the black inks turn out to be grey or charcoal. They're not black. And if I want a red ink to be red, I want it to be red, like a really vibrant red. So I think that's the reason why I dislike black inks a lot. But I will go more towards grey inks because there is a lot more different shading in grey than there is in black. The next pen inked up is the Onoto Coronation Sterling Silver pen. We'll do an ink swatch here. Now, I think this one might be getting a bit low. So let's see. It's also a nice wet writing nib. It's a medium nib. So it's the Onoto Coronation Sterling Silver. In a medium 18 karat gold nib. The 18 karat gold nibs from Onoto are Bock nibs. The steel nibs are Yovo nibs. The ink in here is KWZ, and it is an exclusive called Hawaii. That was, I think, an exclusive for Hipponoto when Hipponoto were doing their notebooks, and they did a couple of exclusive inks with KWZ, and that was one of the inks. And a friend gifted me that bottle, and I want to say I'm down to about a third of that bottle now. So when I actually run out, I don't know what ink I'm going to put in this pen. I kind of want to put another blue ink. I thought about China Blue, maybe. I'm going to have a think about it because I've got a lot of blue inks. I kind of would like a lighter blue, but not a turquoise. So I'll have to have a think about that one. The next pen inked up is the Onoto Platinum Jubilee in sterling silver. Now this one, I know I have inked up in a lovely purple ink. And for Queen Elizabeth II, she always had, she wore lots of different colours, but purple seemed to be the colour of her choice, and that was the colour of the Platinum Jubilee. So, and I do like this purple ink. I've got 2 or 3 purples that I really like, and this is my favourite. So this is the Onoto Platinum Jubilee in sterling silver. And both of these pens are actually more rounded nibs. They're not as crisp as this one. So I am liking... I prefer a smooth nib. I do like rotate my nib slightly as I write to the right-hand side. And if it's a crisp nib on the right, it will kind of dig in a little bit. That's a problem that I have, and a problem that a lot of people have as well. And I remember as John Soroka, our UK nibsmith, once told me, he said, "You need to learn to write." I'm like, "I can write." He said, "No, you need to learn to write properly." And I don't know, it's just like, I'll start here and then I just gradually, not to this level, but I will rotate the nib slightly as I write. So it's just, I've tried to change how I write a little bit, and I think it's become better. It's still not perfect though. Now the ink in here is Diamine Majestic Purple, and I kind of wanted it because majestic kind of sounds more royal. So I decided before even buying this pen that was the ink that I was going to ink up in that pen. I didn't quite know what I was going to ink up in a Coronation pen, other than King Charles III typically had blue, so that's why I thought I would go with a blue ink in that pen, and I did. The next pen is the Onoto Great Roof Metallic Edition, and just we'll do an ink swatch here. Now, I do have a light ink in here, maybe a little bit too light, but it's an ink that dries a little bit more darker. So this is the Onoto Great Roof Metallic, and it's a medium. I'll just say it is a medium, isn't it? Yeah, a medium 18 karat gold nib. And the ink in here is Robert Oster. And I'm just trying to think. Aussie Gold. Which is a very nice gold ink. And if you're into a gold ink without any shimmer, definitely look at Robert Oster Aussie Gold. I know I normally favoured Pilot Washizuka in a Ho. That's an ink that is now out of production, unfortunately. It's a shame because that's a really nice gold ink. But this one I would say is a little bit more on the yellowy gold. Almost looks like it's a shimmer ink, but it's not. The next pen inked up is the Onoto Cult Pens exclusive Christmas Carol. And we'll do an ink swatch here. Now, this does have shimmer ink in it. Now, I'm going to try and shake the pen a little bit because it's been sat in my pen tray for a long time. So this is the Onoto Cult Pens Christmas Cowl. And it's a broad nib. And I wanted, strangely enough, to get a broad nib on this one, because I knew I was going to put some shimmer ink in it. And it's a steel nib. But this pen writes really well. I did think when I bought it that maybe I will buy an 18 karat gold nib for it, but I've not felt the need to do so. Now this ink is, and I'm just trying to look up, I'm going to have to look it up. I know the manufacturer of the ink, I just cannot think what the ink name is called. There you go. Right, it is Vinter, which I knew, and it's Whiskey Gold. But that is a very, very nice gold shimmery ink. So if you want a gold shimmer ink, definitely look at Vinter Whiskey Gold, because that is a beautiful ink. And then the last pen is the Onoto Charles Dickens Christmas Carol 2022, and this is the prototype. So we'll do an ink swatch here, and this is another wet writing Onoto nib. I really love how this nib writes. So it's the Onoto Christmas Carol 2022 prototype. Long sold out, unfortunately, but fortunately for me, I managed to get the last prototype, and it's an 18 karat gold medium nib. But you can see that it is super wet. The ink in here is Diamine Meadow, which for me is a beautiful ink. Really, really do like that ink. Another green I like is Diamine Apple Glory as well, but that Diamine Meadow is the one I typically go towards more than Diamine Apple Glory. So I think let's take a look at these pens inked up one more time. We have a Majohn P138 piston filler in a medium steel nib inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. We have a classic pen CP5 in the vintage in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with KWZ Old Smoke. We have a classic pen CP5 in the modern in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. We have a Conway Stewart King Charles III Coronation pen in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. We have an Onoto Platinum Jubilee overlay in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Graphite. We have an Onoto Coronation Sterling Silver in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with KWZ Hawaii. I think it's actually called KWZ Hawaii Blue, actually. We have an Onoto Platinum Jubilee in a sterling silver in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Majestic Purple. Now, that ink you will see, it is feathering. It does feather on Oxford Optic paper. We have an Onoto Great Roof Metallic Edition in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Robert Oster Aussie Gold, and that is a really beautiful gold colour. We have an Onoto Colt Pens Christmas Carol in the broad steel nib, and this is inked up with Vinter Whiskey Gold, and that is a shimmer ink. And then, last but not least, we have an Onoto Christmas Carol 2022 prototype in medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Meadow. And again, you can see how wet this nib is because it is feathering there on Oxford Optic paper. So there you have it. That's my 10 pens currently inked for this week. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye-bye.